through the show in spring, particularly the spring show, and it helps pay for the autumn show and to support charities around the north who have got little gardening projects on. So thank you to all of you for contributing and supporting the charity.
Fantastic. Sounds good to me.
But what have we got cooking?
Well, first off, don't you just love this stage? Isn't that just, you know, as a chef, coming up here and cooking amongst all these beautiful ingredients and herbs and, you know, who would have thought of putting carrots in a plant pot like that? Only Martin and Sue. I think they've done a fantastic job. I think we should give them a round of applause because they've done a brilliant job. But to go with this, and you tell us, Martin, the idea is it's art meets horticulture. That's the whole premise of the show this year, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Nick, what happens every year, Nick gives Steph and I a theme to work on. And he said, I'm thinking articulture. And I just thought, oh no. So I get thinking about, what does articulture mean to me? Think a bit off the wall for this for a few moments. If an artist was to become a gardener or become attached to a gardener, what would the garden look like? Well, they'd use a palette, but that palette might not be paint and brushes, it'd be plants and tools. And the garden wouldn't necessarily be an allotment with straight line vegetables and flower borders separately. They'd be all mixed together because an artist likes texture and colour and form and flow. So the idea of this was to make it look like a garden created by an artist. And then, of course,
I think you've managed it, Martin. Do.
The challenge then is, in Steph's department, how do you come up with
something that looks good, tastes good, and is a bit arty?
Yeah.
Challenge accepted. Right, okay, folks. So we are actually going to cook 3 dishes now, and this particular demo is all about sustainable seafood. So we're going for it. So we're going to do a red wine squid, we're going to do a dressed Whitby crab, and we're going to do a mackerel dish. That's the plan.
Wow.
Yep. Okay. So first things first, we're going to do our red wine squid. So let's pop that on. Let's get sorted here.
So is it Whitby crab and the?
Yep, Whitby crab. The mackerel is East Coast mackerel. The crab comes from, it's either Staithes or Whitby, he said to me, one or the other, depending on which boat lands in. Go for it. I'm now going to check where it's from. L&W Shellfish Whitby. And it looks pretty good to me. And smells sensational. It arrived this morning at my house. I use a company called Hodgson's of Hartlepool. They're a seafood company. They will deliver to your house if you buy like £100 worth of fish, and you can freeze it all and amazing. But this, they're all freshly picked. It's a beautiful thing. I think we're all right. I wouldn't give you a dodgy ingredient, I promise.
It's all quality tested.
Absolutely. Okay, gang, so we're going to, basically, first things first, we've got some of our Yorkshire rapeseed oil, and these guys are here today. So if you want to fill your boots and go and support a local farmer, it's a fantastic ingredient. I've got here some squid. Now I have par-cooked my squid just for a few seconds. And the reason I did that was just to get it started, because I'm trying to do 3 things in such a short space of time. So I've just got it started. But giving it a stir. We want a nice hot pan, and we'll get cracking there. So the squid is in the pan with the oil. We're going to pop in some chili. So I'm using Just a few little bits of chili in there. And gonna get that frying off.
Is that hot chili there, Steph? Is it it's not a Cabanero or anything, no?
No, it's not one of these Carolina Reaper blow your head off chilies. This is nice and gentle. And a couple of bay leaves and some fresh rosemary as
Wow,
well.
yeah.
All going in.
You know, the rapeseed oil, it comes from this. Anybody who sees the fields full of yellow at the moment, that's oilseed rape. But what you'll also find, if you're a gardener, is all of a sudden you get lots of little black beetles on all your flowers. And that's the pollen beetle. And because we grow intense crops of oilseed rape, all the pollen beetles breed like mad on the oilseed rape. When it's set seed, there's no pollen around, it has to go somewhere else. So when you get home this afternoon, it'll be in your garden munching the pollen off all your flowers. But that's what they are like. They're like a little black shiny beetle, but it's a pollen beetle. And they'll be gone in no time at all. They do disappear fairly quickly.
So that oilseed rape, that bright yellow flower, because I live not far from here, and I walk through fields of this stuff, and then it gets to about this high, and you can't go anywhere near it. All the paths have all sort of been overtaken by it. It's amazing. Yeah. Okay, guys, so into our pan, we've got some red wine. We're going to add some tomatoes. We're going to add a little bit of tomato puree into our squid. And I'm happy with this. We're getting there, folks. We're getting there. Where do I work normally? Now that
Anywhere.
is an interesting, that is a very interesting question. I work all around, so I've worked at Rudding Park in Harrogate for many years. I've worked with Provenance Inns, I've worked with Harrogate Flower Show, Great Yorkshire Show, all sorts of things. So I have my own consultancy business, so I go in and around doing all sorts of things.
You judge quite a lot of competitions as well, don't you?
Yeah, I've done...
Is it the Oliver? The Yorkshire Post?
All sorts of things.
Yeah.
So I can't give you a finite answer. Yesterday I was in Barnsley judging the Frozen Food Federation Awards, so every day is different. But I'm here for the next 4 days, cooking up lots of Yorkshire stuff. Okay, guys, so our squid is cooked. That beautiful sauce in that pan, I'm going to add my red wine and my tomatoes, and I'm going to get that boiling and get that cooking, because I want to serve this up properly.
What's the biggest mistake people make with cooking squid, Steph? Because it's not easy, is it?
No, I think there's two different ways, and obviously there's octopus, which takes forever to cook. Squid like this is very tender, so you want to cook it very quickly. That feels lovely and soft.
Yeah.
And if you were to eat that, Martin, it's lovely and soft and got the red wine in there. We're going to tip that back into the red wine and get that really coated. But I want to let that boil away. Okay, folks, next job. That's one dish on the go. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to pickle some fennel, because this is to go with our Whitby dressed crab. But my friend on the front row, she's not happy with me using Whitby crab. Right, here we go. So fennel, Martin, an easy vegetable to grow, or?
They're a bit tricky, actually. They tend to run to seed fairly easily, fairly quickly. They always say that fennel is best late sown. So around about July time, sow your fennel. Leave it later in the season. It doesn't tend to run to seed quite as quickly. But of course, there's two types of fennel. There's bulb fennel, which is what Steph's working with now.
Yeah.
And there's the herb fennel, which is this chap, a feathery sort of leaf herb, which is tastes of aniseed. So does the bulb fennel. But I love the bronze leaf fennel because it makes a great ornamental garden plant. So you can grow in a garden. It's got lovely bronze foliage. and it makes quite a tall plant, probably gets up to about just over a yard in old money, which is about a metre, roughly. And it has gorgeous flowers on, and every bit of it's edible. It has a little flat array of flowers, a panicle of flowers, which are yellow, and then they turn to seed. So with fennel, you can eat the leaves, you can eat the flowers by using them as a dressing in a salad, give you a faint hint of aniseed. And then when it sets seeds, you can actually use the seeds and either coat them, sugar them, or just toast them and use them in cooking as well. So what an incredible plant.
Well, it's the gift that gives on giving for me is fennel. I love it. With fish, I think it's great. So we have got some white wine vinegar in our pan. We've got some of these bad boys. This is a star anise. Very aniseed flavour. Fantastic spice. Fantastic spice. Goes really, really well with fennel. So I've just boiled those together. I'm now going to add some sugar. What we're doing here, folks, is we're making a pickling liquor for our fennel. So we've got some mustard seeds. Going to add a few of those in as well. And our liquor, just once the sugar will melt, the white wine vinegar, will all boil together, and we should end up with something that's sweet and sour at the same time. Now, if I was doing this at home, I would bring this to the boil. I put my fennel in the jar, and I just pour it on the top. And how I do it, I'd put the jar tight, and then I stick it in the dishwasher and turn it on. And it just really cleans it and molds it, and it gets a really nice tight squeeze to it. So that's going in. So the pickling fennel is on the go. The red wine squid, that's boiling away. That's what I want it to do. This one is going to boil away in a second, which again is what I want it to do. And we're going to do some little stewed tomatoes as well. So I've got some cherry tomatoes here. And all we're going to do is hold them flat on the board, just using a sharp knife, all in a wanna, just straight through. Okay? So they're all cut in half, nice and easy. And then I'm just going to chop them roughly. And we're just going to stew this down to go with our Whitby crab.
Now, I can't wait till this summer and we start eating homegrown tomatoes, because although, you can get them all year round, there's nothing quite like eating something when it's in season. The taste is just so different. Tomatoes in particular, things like strawberries and tomatoes, you need to grow them to appreciate just how flavoursome they can be. But
I must admit, Martin, and as you know, I'm not a very good gardener. We're like chalk and cheese, Martin and I. Martin grows it and I cook it. But when I've had a go at growing my own tomatoes, admittedly, I think I've got 2 tomatoes out of about an investment of about 40 quid buying all the stuff. I think I got 2. But they did taste really good. Okay, guys, so we've got some shallot. We're just going to cut our shallot in half, keep the root on the end, and then hand like a claw, straight down. And we're just getting a nice fine dice of our shallot. Like so. Okay. So I'm going to stick a few of my shallots in with my tomatoes. The fennel, I think that's now ready. That's lovely. It's pickled, sweet, sharp. If you can imagine that sat in a jar in your fridge, and you just pop a few on your salad or whatever. Really, really nice. So pickled fennel is done. The tomatoes are on their way. The red wine squid is almost there. So I think we're pretty much ready. I'm just going to add a little bit of chicken stock into my red wine squid. I've got to use this. So this is from the guys at Rudding Park. They're actually on the Visit Harrogate stand today. But I work with Rudding Park, and they've got a fantastic kitchen garden. Literally, as the crow flies, about half a mile that way. Open every day, 8 till 4, and you can go in and see things like the sorrels and a lot of the things that Martin's brought here today. Similar offer, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've been, Martin, haven't you?
I have, yeah. It's a fantastic example of a kitchen garden. It's on a scale, what I like about it, it's on a scale that you can read. So you could go and look at it and think, well, I could fit this in my garden, or a portion of it in the garden. There's all sorts of different trained fruit, from step-over apples, espaliers and cordons, and little raised beds makes it easier to look after. Edible flowers mixed with vegetables, herbs and fruit. It's a great, great place. Some great ideas there for gardening.
Now, we've got here some gherkin. We've got some shallot that we chopped earlier, and we've got some capers. And what we're doing now is we're going to mix our dressed crab. I love it. I love being in the food hall. It's the place to be, isn't it, Martin? Yeah.
Yeah, when we've inspired you with some culinary delights, you can nip out and get a pie and a pint.
Okay, so all those in there. Then we're going to add our dressed crab. We're basically going to scoop it out and pop it back in. So I'm going to keep the dark meat in, because I think that's also very good. Just add a tiny drizzle of the rapeseed oil.
I love dressed crab, Steph, but it mystifies me why, when you buy a dressed crab, they only give you one claw.
Yeah, I think it's because the other claw is in there, but it's quite difficult to get the perfect claw like that.
Yeah.
And I think I understand why they do it, because
right.
every crab has got two claws, but there's always a dominant claw, isn't there, on a crab?
Yeah.
So they always do the better one.
I just wondered, I've been a Yorkshireman, I thought, hang on a minute, shouldn't there be two claws?
Oh, I love it. Okay, guys, so in that goes. Our dressed crab is starting to look a bit more funky. I'm going to pop that, thank you, on my plate. And let's start finishing this off. So, dressed crab. Anybody know what this is? Sorrel? My friend on the front row, she's 100% right. It's lemony, isn't it? It's beautiful stuff.
It's got a little bit of sharpness to it.
It reminds me of Bramley apple, you know, that kind of appley flavour. Okay, guys, the squid sauce is looking really good. So I'm going to tip it back in. The reason I fried the squid finished, I'm going to pop it back in, is squid cooks very fast, so you want to do it very quickly. We don't want it to go tough, which can happen. Okay. Tomatoes good. I just need to give that a quick wash. Yeah, thanks, Martin. I'm just going to give that a quick wash in there. Right. So, let's start to serve up. So I'm going to use a few of these beautiful lemony, zingy sorrel leaves. Because that is like eating, I love it, sorrel, it's amazing. It's very zingy and fresh. We're going to add some of our dill, bronze fennel, sorry. We're going to add some of our pickled fennel. I'd love you to try a little bit of that, guys. And our red wine squid. Do you like squid, Martin?
Love it. Love crab, squid, everything on the menu, actually.
Yeah?
Oh, wow.
Excellent.
Look at
Right.
that.
So, all we're going to do is tip this out, and what we've got, it's tender, it's unctuous. I hope you're going to try it, unless you've got a
Wow.
shellfish allergy. Maybe don't bother. But I'm going to make the most of those lovely herbs and that bit of chili, everything in there. Get those all banging around. I just love all these different, look at this. I mean, that's amazing. I love it. Right, so our red wine squid is good. Our crab, I'm going to use a little bit of dill as well. So how are we going to do this? Making a bit of a mess of this one. Right, let's use our tomato. It's just zingy, nice, fresh. Nice and simple, but our last dish, I love it. I love it when Martin brings me a present. What have we got here, Martin? These look beautiful.
Just a few pea shoots, just
Pea shoots.
nice and soft and delicate.
They look sensational. Stunning. That's really going to give it a nice zing and a nice finish. And our last dish, just very quickly, our last dish is using one of Martin's favorites. So, here we go. Now that's where my knife went. I was looking for my knife earlier. 1 second. Oops. Right, so we're going to do some mackerel. I'm going to show you a really quick, easy way to fillet a mackerel. If you've never done it before, I don't want you to be worried or nervous about this, because it's actually not that difficult to do. But to go with our mackerel, we need to do something to zing this up and make it exciting and something a bit different. So, I'm going to show you a really quick way to make like a pea puree. So, I've got some fresh peas. Just get my milk. Debs, if you can hear me, can you bring the milk? Hopefully Debs is listening round the back. Okay, guys, so we got here our mackerel. Thanks, Debs. Thank you. Okay. Cheers. That's all finished. Okay, a little bit of milk into our peas. And our mackerel, all we're going to do is fillet our mackerel. Okay, so just underneath the fin, nice and easy. Bring the knife round, and you can hear it, just keep it very flat. And the fillet just pops off nice and simple. Okay, let's do another side. So Martin, what would you serve? So I know it's not exactly pea season yet, but it's not far off, is it?
It's not, I mean, you can actually sow peas in autumn. There are two hardy varieties that you can use. and they are a bit slow. They're just coming into pod now, but you can pick, for some reason, frozen peas. When a pea's been frozen, it seems a bit sweeter.
Yeah.
So whether that releases some of the sugars in it. But we grow a lot of peas throughout the summer, and then we freeze quite a lot and then use them. Same with most of our vegetables, tomatoes and such like. Sue makes purees and freezes vegetables. But they are great, and the thing about peas, if you're wanting peas for pea shoots, they do sell varieties of peas, specifically for pea shoots, but they're about £3 or £4 a packet of seed. Yeah, you'll get four or five crops out of it. But if you go to your supermarket and buy some dried pea seeds, not the Marifats, ordinary dried pea seeds, they will do just the same. So all you need to do is to get yourself a tray, a little bit of compost in, space your pea seeds about 1 inch apart, give it a drink of water, put it in a frost-free place. These are supermarket bought peas, dried peas, and they grow like that, and you can nip the tops off by about half, and then they'll regrow a couple of times, so you'll get 2 or 3 crops out of it. But pea shoots, they are a really nice garnish, but you can actually put them in with the peas if you wanted and blitz it all up together. But,
Sounds good. Well, I love a pea shoot, me, and I think a few of those will be great with this. So
Yep.
what we've got with our mackerel, I've done one already, but I just want to show you, it's a bit of a cheats way of doing it. Okay, the guy, I'm not sure where Andy is, the cameraman. He has a lot of jobs on a Monday, on the first day of the show, sorry.
Right.
He has a lot of jobs of setting people up, and I bet there's been an emergency somewhere. What can you see? Can you see that? Yeah, cool. Right, so if you look now, so my mackerel, there's bones running all the way down to there. Now what I want to do is take those bones out in a wanna without any hassle. If you use like eyebrow tweezers, fish tweezers, use it, it takes a long time to do. This way is just a bit of a cheats way. It's a hack, it's something nice and simple, but it's a great way of doing your mackerel. So yes, I've got a nice little mackerel fillet, but it's full of bones right down the middle. So all I'm going to do is lay it on the board, using my fingers, feel where the bones are, and then almost do that with the knife, yeah? Just to peel away those bones. And what you find is they all come out, that's where all the bones are. There's no bones in my fish now. And yes, okay, you waste a bit of fish, a tiny bit. And Martin is a Yorkshireman, so he's not into wasting fish. But for the effort and the time it takes, I think it's the way forward. Okay, guys, so I've got a hot pan.
so could you put that in the fish stock, make a fish stock with the head and all the bits, so wouldn't you bother? You just buy it.
It'd take you a while to do it, but yeah, I suppose you could. Yeah, I suppose you could. Yeah, why not? So now I'm putting my fish into the pan, and I'm just using my hand. I can feel a bone there. I've missed one. There's always one, isn't there? There's always one. All right, let's get that. Okay. And all that does is it just stops the fish from curling just for a few seconds. So I'm happy with that now. My fish is nice and flat in the pan. I just need a little bit of butter, because why wouldn't you with fish? And we're using a nice Yorkshire butter. Right, so this is my dirty knife and dirty board, and let's get ready to plate up our dish. So to go with our dish of mackerel, we've got here some Granny Smiths. And we've got a few different bits and bats here. Martin, what do you think we should add with this mackerel?
I think we'll, it's a bit of lemon thyme.
Bit of lemon. Should I get some lemon thyme in there? I love it. That sounds like heaven. And then just a quick flip over of the fish. When you cook fish, always cook it 3/4 on the skin. And then that last quarter on the flesh side. So if you look at the fish now, it's coming up halfway up the sides. Okay. So with our apple, do a little bit of apple salad. Here he is, here he is. What happened, Andy? I said I thought you might have had a drama somewhere. Trouble at the mill. I figured there might have been. Oh. Okay, so our fish is now ready to flip over because it's 3/4 cooked on one side. You've got lovely fillets. I'm now going to turn the pan off. So everything's turned off. And I've also made a jelly. Now, I was going to use gooseberries, but there's not many gooseberries about at the minute.
It's not the perfect time for gooseberries.
So, I am using a balsamic jelly. So all I've done with that jelly, and the recipe is in the, if you look on this chair over here, we've got all the recipes. We'll be changing that chair around every day with all the different recipes that we're doing. So the next demo is, all the demos today are completely different. Okay, so our last dish, we've got our apple salad coming. We've got our balsamic jelly ready. Our peas, all I've done to the peas and the milk is I've drained off the milk. I've added 1/4 of a block of butter, so quite a lot, and I've made it into a puree, just in a blender, and it makes a lovely smooth puree. So, our apple salad.
We had lots of apples in autumn, didn't we?
We did.
Raided Newby Hall's orchard, and we had apples everywhere, didn't we?
It was amazing.
And you're not going to believe this, Steph, but I'm still using apples from the orchard. I store them I've got a closed garage. It's really cold, and an apple rack at the bottom, and we're finishing off apples as we speak. You know, they're still around. So really good crop to grow.
So with my mackerel, I've got here, Martin, are you a fan of this stuff? What have you got there?
Well, I've gone a little bit further.
Wow.
And this is a rare Scottish alpine plant called, it's an oyster plant called Mertensia maritima.
Amazing.
But my plants, I had a couple in the greenhouse. I wasn't sure whether they were going to be ready or not. But I know why they were hanging behind, because they've just started flowering. So the little blue flowers that I've passed to Steph are actually the rarest thing you'll see in this show, because they are Mertensia flowers.
Wow.
And you don't often see them flowering like that. So unless you're an alpine expert, you probably flower them. But Mertensia maritima, it's a gorgeous blue flower. And the leaf is an oyster leaf, so it tastes, strangely enough,
of oysters. Hey, love it. Okay, folks, so to finish off our dish, we've got some of the lovely Granny Smith's apple. We've got the pea puree. We've got some edible primrose. And we've got some balsamic jelly. Just nice and sharp. And I'm just, so with the balsamic jelly, it's just apple juice, balsamic vinegar, but I'm not using the nasty stuff. I'm using a nice one. And that makes all the difference, really. But like I say, the recipes for all the different dishes today will be given to you to have a go. Okay, folks, so just to recap, 3 dishes for our first demo: red wine squid, Whitby crab with a slow-cooked tomato and pickled fennel, and the mackerel with the pea puree and the balsamic jelly. Thank you very much, guys. Yay! I just want to get a quick photo of these, if I can.
Yeah, sure.
She'd like, come, Martin, can you stage that one?
Absolutely, yeah.